4, 3, 2, 1. Wake that ass up. It's the Beat Break Morning Show, the Beat Break Podcast. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning.
Yeah.
John Garvey and DJ Rollem.
Yeah.
Just waking out of bed.
In, man. Gotta get that coffee in.
Gotta get that coffee in, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's another day, another beautiful day, another beautiful week. I can smell it. I can feel it. I can touch it. Make sure you log online to beatbreakradiofm.com and on the Podcast FM app. If you haven't downloaded it yet, download it right now. You need that in your life, Podcast FM app. And make sure you log online 24/7 to beatbreakradiofm.com. We are also simulcasting on Thinking Out Loud Network. You can go to thinkingoutloudnetwork.com to hear the show. And make sure you follow us everywhere on your social media at Beat Break Radio, Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram at Beat Break Radio. Got a great show for you guys, and we got some amazing guests on the Morning Show podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, got to give a round of applause for that. DJ Rollem, how has your week been?
Man, I'm glad it's finally getting warmer, man.
Yeah.
I'm just glad about that, man, because it is time. It's not been a crazy winter, but I'm just glad we are very, very fortunate in the ATL. We did not get all that crazy winter like some other states did. So
yeah, you can already see that I have my T-shirt on because I got on this MTV T-shirt on. And the past podcast that we've been on for the past few weeks, I always had a coat on or a long sleeve sweater of that sort. It would get like cold. It would get like cold here in the studio. Yeah. But I feel like very, very warm right now. And it was only right that I have a T-shirt on for this special occasion. And yeah, man, I feel you. It's spring again. Love it.
Yeah, spring again, time to get warm. And for your eyes only, Sean, I mean, I look, but I ain't gonna be like looking. You know, them sundress ladies going to be coming out.
Sundress season.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, I look.
That else too.
That's all I do is look. You know, I ain't looking. I ain't doing no more.
You engaged, man. You about to get married.
Yeah, I know. You know, it's going on. Want to be a year from now, so I'm looking forward to it. So
yeah,
it's a blessing. It's a blessing.
I mean, but you know, it wouldn't hurt to like glance just a little bit, though.
Man, look, she looks, so I'm gonna look too. I mean, I know she looks, so.
Ain't nothing wrong with that, you know.
Right.
Just complimenting your beauty. That's all. That's why I'm looking. Just complimenting your beauty. Yeah, man. Speaking of craziness, craziness in the ATL, man. Already people comparing it to Chicago. The bad part of Chicago. Let's just
bad part of Chicago.
Because not all Chicago isn't bad.
No. It's just I think it's the South Side that keep getting hit the worst and all that stuff.
Downtown Atlanta.
Yeah, downtown Atlanta.
Yeah, prior to the NBA All-Star Weekend and during the NBA All-Star Weekend, people got shot up, people got robbed, man. I mean, it's unfortunate. It's still unfortunate. And the thing about it, what they've been doing for the last couple of weeks is people just roaming around like there ain't no pandemic going on. It's getting better, but you cannot take your mask off yet. You got to keep it on. Let me tell you, man, it's been nothing but COVID. Yeah, man. It's been nothing but COVID parties all around the ATL. COVID parties.
Woo.
Partying like it's...
Well, I guess they're coughing on each other like crazy, right? With all these COVID parties.
You know what's so crazy? Because, you know, back in the day in the clubs, they used to knuck and buck. Yeah. And, you know, throwing elbows and stuff. Now they coughing on each other. You don't need to throw bowls at each other anymore.
You got to do the fist. Got to do the fist bump. You can't be hugging folk and whatnot. Now, even though the lady looks so nice and all that stuff, want to hug. Nope. Got to do the fist bump only.
Yeah, let me holler at you. How you gonna holler at somebody with that mask on, though?
Yeah, you look got the beautiful eyes, and then they might take the mask down. They need like you can put the mask back up. So I mean,
yeah, man. Yeah. You know, you come across a person that you thought looks handsome or look beautiful with that mask on. Well, it's a whole different story when they put the mask down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once they play that Future mask off, everybody take their mask off, and it's a different story.
Is Future going to do a new song about that?
Mask on. That would be the remix to Mask Off.
For real.
Yeah, man. It's been crazy, man. And everybody's been talking about Coming to America.
Man.
30-something years.
Mixed views on it. It's mixed views. And
I think people thought it was going to be a Black Panther. Because now it's going back.
I didn't expect that.
Yeah. Now, from my understanding, though, most of the film went back to Africa. So it was like Africa and then back to America and then back to Africa. I'm confused.
Well, here's the thing. You got to understand this. It is called Coming to America 2. So, you got to start off where it originated in Africa and then, come to America. I'm not giving out like how they do on social media, just giving out all the daggone info. I'm like, can someone just enjoy it without giving out all the stuff going on and going back to Africa, I guess. I mean, that's what I don't know. I mean, I'm still in search of looking at it and whatnot, but that's basically the theme, using most of the original cast on there. Some of them have passed and whatnot. So I'm like, I'm glad it's back and it's a sequel. And I wouldn't say it's too long. It happens when it happens. I mean, like Bad Boys 3, it happens when it happened. We ain't expect it to be that long, but it happened. So
yeah, man. Hey. Yeah, man. But I haven't checked it out, but I will check it out. Mm-hmm. Like you said,
so don't spoil it though. Don't put it on social media and spoil it.
Yeah, I never do that.
You never do that, but
I never do that.
Just gotta put it on there.
Oh yeah. I've seen people say that Wesley Snipes did a hell of a job,
right,
on there. Mm-hmm. That makes me want to even watch it even more because ever since grade school, people have been comparing me to Wesley Snipes.
Really?
Yeah. Because of my big lips and the dark skin and all that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
Not the size, right?
Not the size. I don't have the Wesley Snipes physique, but people have been calling me Nino Brown ever since grade school.
Oh wow.
Yeah, man.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, gotcha. Nino Brown to Blade. Yeah, I've been called. Yeah.
Okay.
It is what it is. But yeah, I couldn't get all the women, but yeah, you want to still compare me to Wesley Snipes. So that's
well, you pay your taxes though.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. I pay my taxes. Hand clap for that.
Right.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
All right. It's the Beat Break Morning Show, the Beat Break Podcast. Hey, we got some special guests on the podcast this morning, DJ Rollem, man. And I cannot wait to dive right into this topic, man. Cancel culture. We haven't really been talking a lot about it on the morning show. But cancel culture has become a very, very serious thing in the media, in society, just everywhere. Everywhere you turn around the corner, when you go on social media, you turn on the news, you listen on the radio and stuff, somebody's being canceled. Somebody's getting that X. And we have some people that want to share their perspectives and opinions about this whole cancel culture thing. But we're going to also tie it in with forgiveness. Because cancel culture and forgiveness are two different things.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, one of our guests will definitely enlighten on what I'm about to say, is that if you're considered as a Christian, you're supposed to know how to forgive anyway. That's what it's supposed to be like. But then some people might say, well, they have other alternatives and whatnot to make you like, should I really? You could just say, I'll forgive you, but I ain't gonna forget about what you did though. So they'll flip it up like that.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's hear what they have to say. But let's go ahead and introduce our guests for the morning show. First and foremost, I want to bring this woman to the forefront. I came across paths at WAOK a couple of years ago as a special guest to the Love and Relationship show. with Joyce Littell a couple of years ago, and she's a very interesting person, man. I follow her on social media. Speaking of social media, she is a author, she is an entrepreneur, and she's going to talk more about herself. We have Tori Lynn on the Beat Break Morning Show, the Beat Break Podcast. Good morning, Tori. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I am so glad to see you again, but on this particular platform, we met in paths in crossing a couple of years ago at WLK when I was producing Love and Relationships show. We're not going to talk about what you did off camera because I still remember to this very day what you did off camera, unless you want to share to your listening audience exactly what you did.
Off camera?
Yes.
I'm curious on that one.
I don't think we're going to share. She got that look like, I don't remember, but I'm not going to share that one.
You can tell us off the air then.
I'm not going to share that. I'm not going to say anything. But no, she's very funny. She's very funny and got a lot of great things to say. But talk to the people. Tell a little bit about yourself, Tori Lynn.
Well, now I'm scared. But I am an author and a speaker, and now I am a relationship coach and also a bounce back coach for people that's been through divorce and been through betrayal and heartache. And actually people that has to bounce back, but also have to get to relearn themselves and forgive themselves for a mistake that they made that even got them in that situation in the first place. So that's what I'm working on right now. Also, I'm finishing my script for when Tommy Ford and I were working on my trailer, and we were filling in gaps so that we could do make it into a film. And months later he had passed away, and I kind of put it to the side. Not kind of, I dropped it all together. So I just recently decided to pick it back up. So I'll be working on that next.
Nice. That's a hand clap for that.
Thank you.
Like I said, yeah, that's a hand clap. I love it when people are doing multiple things in the same space, and it's something that you love to do. By the way, folks, she was doing the Running Man off camera on Love and Relationships. She don't remember that, but I do. I was playing a song. I was playing like an up-tempo hip-hop R&B song. She was doing the Running Man. She don't remember that, but that's what she did off camera.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, indeed. But we appreciate you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on the morning show, ladies and gentlemen. And also joining with us, he is a man of many things. He is, of course, in the ministry, but at the same time, he's part of the millennial generation. And I'm so glad that we have him on the show because, as it pertains to cancel culture, millennials as well as the Generation C's, they really take heed into this particular culture that we are in right now. He goes by AD, but we also call him Adrian Davis. The morning show. AD, what's good, man?
What's up, my guy? What's up, man?
How you doing?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I like the backdrop, by the way. Your backdrop looks cleaner than my backdrop.
Man, listen, man, when man, you've been in this pandemic, you've been everything's been virtual, man. I just, I just keep it set up. And so when it's time to go, it's time to go.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
We're all in go mode, man. I love it. I love it, man.
Man.
Absolutely. All right. Well, appreciate you, AD, for stopping by, coming through, man. Can't wait to get into this topic. Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, we also have another special guest on the morning show. She is a prophetess, which I didn't even know because she's a family member of mine. And I didn't know that she was in the ministry, DJ Rollem, like that. But I remember her as a fashion model, if I'm not mistaken. If my memory serves me correctly, I saw a picture of her on a magazine cover. It was a magazine cover that I saw on a living room table, and a family member told me, "Hey, that's your cousin." I was like, "Oh, really? Okay, wow, I'm learning new things every day." But she is a prophetess, and she is here to weigh in on the conversation. She goes by Prophetess Buffy Wilson, right? Buffy.
Absolutely.
Prophetess Buffy. We can call you Prophetess. We can call you Prophetess
No,
Buffy.
just call me Buffy, actually, because I'm on Zoom so much and, doing ministry things. I meant to actually take the title off for, this platform, but
Okay.
I wasn't thinking. So forgive me for that, because I usually, I don't have to use it. It's just when I'm doing a lot of ministry things on Zoom. But anyway, Buffy is fine. Thank you for having me. I sure appreciate it, cuz.
Okay. I appreciate you, and I promise, cousin, I will be on my best behavior. I promise.
Oh, hey, do you?
Yeah, but thank you so much, and we're gonna make this a family affair, like we always
Absolutely.
do. Absolutely, man. All right, so let's get into it. Cancel culture. The topic is the art of forgiveness in a cancel culture society. I'm gonna go to you, Tori Lynn. I'm gonna ask you this question: what is cancel culture?
I don't know. I was waiting on y'all.
I don't know either. I don't know either.
Me first.
Hey, ladies first.
Ladies first.
You know what? You know what? I'm gonna go to Adrian. I'm gonna go to Adrian Davis.
For sure.
For this one, cancel culture. I know. Hey, you know what, Tori? Listen, Tori. When I hear people talk about cancel culture, I give them the same answer. I don't know. Like somebody asked me, "Hey, did you hear about this person getting canceled?" I'm like, "No, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why we're here. We're here to talk about it. Adrian Davis, what is cancel culture?
Well, I think cancel culture, man, is just where people look for the flaws in other people to write them off as if they needed our endorsement or support to be where they are in the first place. So we look for things to be wrong. We look for them to not be right or find the issue within things that they say or things that they do, whether that be present or past, because we're seeing now that people's past are coming back up and things that they've chosen to tweet years ago or post years ago. And we look for a reason to cancel them. So it was like,
okay,
they did this. So it's like, it's a culture of people that just look for somebody to cancel, to write off as, like, oh, we're no longer supporting them.
Okay.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. And Buffy, what is cancel culture to you?
That's just ditto what he said. Just a reason to kind of like push someone, to the back, to just get rid of them, to cancel them out for their thought, their deed, past, present, even future, if they can. They're always trying to find something. Our generation has gotten so sensitive now. And so now people are trying to find reasons to, cancel someone, especially for something they've done in their past. Now, if you're presently walking and doing some of the things that your past has brought up, if you're presently, then, there may be some reason, but if it's past behavior, some people are being ostracized for things that they did years ago when they were young, walking in ignorance, just doing things just because somebody else was doing it. I can say probably many of us did that, because of peer pressure, because of the crowd, and you just did something dumb. You said something dumb, and so this cancel culture has just almost gotten out of hand at this point. It's just a sensitive, everybody's sensitive now. Nobody has thick skin anymore. So that's where that cancel culture has come from, because this generation is not, doesn't have that thick skin like we used to.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of it comes from, of course, social media. We were talking a little bit about it offline, about the power in social media. When you go online and you pull something up from the past, whether it's a YouTube video or some form of audio, and you put it out there and you hear something that you don't like, you automatically cancel them. But it could be something from years and years ago. It could be something from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. I want to play an excerpt, and we'll get back into the discussion. I want to play an excerpt from Bill Maher, who is a late night talk show host. And he's, of course, no stranger to controversy. And, you know, he currently has a show called Real Time with Bill Maher on HBO. And he talks about cancel culture. So I want us just to take a few moments to listen to the excerpt. I'm going to play it during the podcast, and then we'll come back and talk about it and find out if you agree or disagree with some of the things that Bill Maher said in this excerpt. Let's go ahead and take a listen to Bill Maher's take on cancel culture, courtesy of HBO Real Time with Bill Maher. Let's take a listen. Follow us on all your social media at Beat Break Radio, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Beat Break Radio. We got our special guests in the studio with us right here on the Beat Break Morning Show, the Beat Break Podcast. Sean Garvey, DJ Rollem, And we are back live, ladies and gentlemen, coming from that excerpt. DJ Rollem,
Yes.
Sean Garvey, and our guest, Prophetess Buffy, or in other words, Buffy, A.D, Adrian Davis, and Tori Lynn is on the live line with us. Just got done playing a little bit of the Bill Maher assessment, if you will, of his take on cancel culture. And you heard him mention some names like Justin Timberlake. He didn't mention everybody from the industry or from the entertainment world, but of course, people like Justin Timberlake has been in the news lately ever since he made that public apology on Instagram concerning Britney Spears and even Janet Jackson, whose name wasn't even mentioned in that assessment there. But I'm assuming everyone, and by the way, folks, I only played 3 minutes and some change of the excerpt. The excerpt is actually 6 minutes and some change. So there was some points that Bill Maher made in that assessment, some valid points, and maybe some things in that assessment that may have rubbed you the wrong way, especially with a term that he used during the assessment, in which we'll get into in just a few moments. But AD, I'm gonna go over to you, AD. First and foremost, did you hear the assessment in its entirety from Bill Maher? And if so, what do you think in general? Do you agree or do you disagree with Bill Maher's assessment on cancel culture?
Well, I listened to Bill Maher's assessment. Certain aspects I do agree with. Certain ones I kind of don't. But I will say this, even when he was referring back to the Justin Timberlake situation, it's just like, why does Justin Timberlake have to come out and apologize for what, like, not being a good boyfriend when they were a teenager? Like that type of stuff. I mean, dude, like the reality of it is we did dumb stuff a year ago, fam. Like, and we're talking about when he was a teenager, like just because he was in the limelight, it's just certain things. And that's the reason why I'm like, certain aspects I definitely agree with. I don't think that we owe the world the explanation of us growing up and are being a kid or being an immature adult just because we're in the limelight or people are watching. Some of us just have the privilege to make dumb decisions and dumb mistakes without cameras rolling, and some of us make them and the cameras are catching it. So I mean, like I kind of look at my own life. I mean, like, and that's the reason why I kind of, the whole cancel culture aspect, because, I'm not necessarily with it, because I feel like if I had cameras and people looking at me, since I was 16, 15, how much dumb stuff would they have caught that now, being a middle-aged 30-year-old man, what I'm saying, like middle 30s, who that I would be apologizing for today. Like, what I'm saying? It's just crazy to be, so that's why, like, certain aspects I agree, certain aspects I don't, but I am glad that he's chosen to utilize the platform to kind of give some language to it and say, yo, like, he doesn't owe us that, but I don't know, man. I feel like
well, I got a take on that, and then we'll get to Buffy and Tori. Now, with Justin Timberlake, well, first, I don't think Justin Timberlake should have not been canceled. Actually, a lot of people have canceled him, or a certain good amount of people had canceled him since that NFL halftime performance with Janet Jackson years ago. Because everybody was on Janet Jackson's side when that whole situation went down during the halftime. For sure. I still don't think that he should have been canceled. Everybody has, it's a lot of finger pointing that should be made in that performance. Yeah. But the reason why and it's kind of somewhat defending JT in a way, The reason why he made that public apology on IG was because ABC recently released a hour, maybe a 2-hour special on Britney Spears. Right now, for those that don't know, Britney Spears is in some form of conservatory, where she is, and I hate to use the word control, but she has people behind her, especially her dad, that manages the money that she makes off of performances, tours, album sales, that sort of thing. So she's in some form of bondage right now. And a lot of people are calling for her release to come out of that conservatory. And I think what happened was Justin Timberlake, because we all grow as a human being, and it may take us years to apologize to somebody where we feel like years ago, we feel like we weren't in the wrong back then, but then now 15, 20 years ago, we kind of have like a different perspective on things. We show some type of what's the word, remorse for those that we should have had a conversation with to get some type of closure or what have you. But besides all of that, I think Justin Timberlake was just in that moment where he saw that and was like, wow, you know what? I did some messed up stuff. I need to apologize and make it right. And I think Justin going into it, yeah, some would say he should have went into it in a different way. But, everything is social media nowadays. And I think what Justin was trying to do was just be apologetic to something he should have done years ago. We don't know all the details and the facts of what happened, but at the same time, I think he was just trying to, not be only sincere, but not be a part of this cancel culture that we're still in and not lose his fans at the same time. It doesn't have anything to do with an upcoming movie that he just got done doing or anything like that, or album sales and stuff like that, even though we live in a culture where people assume that, oh, he's doing this or she's doing that because they got an album coming up or they got a movie coming up, you know what I mean? But I think at the same time, I think Justin was just being human. I mean, what do you say? I see you shaking your head, you going up and down and left and right. Buffy, what do you have to say about that?
No, when I had saw his apology, one of the things I thought about was maybe he was apologizing because he thought maybe he contributed to Britney Spears' craziness back in that day, when she was really off balance. I think she was like substance abuse, her mental breakdown, maybe he felt like, whatever went on in their relationship was part of her mental breakdown. So, and that caused, everything to kind of like downhill spiral, and her father ended up having to take, over her estate, whatever the case may be. So maybe that's why he gave the apology. But I truly believe he should have done that personally. I think that should have been a sincere, heartfelt, personal apology that I'm sure he probably could have got her number from somebody if he doesn't have it anymore, and maybe met up with her boyfriend, whoever she has in her life, her husband, whoever it is, and a couple of people maybe meet her and say, hey, listen, I am truly sorry for however I contributed to your heartbreak, your mental breakdown. I think, sometimes maybe he has done that. I don't know, but
or maybe he had tried to do it. Maybe he tried to do it, not to cut you off, Buffy, but maybe he tried to do it and couldn't do it because Britney is in conservatory. So also meaning with the conservatory, you it's only certain people you can't talk to.
Maybe you're right. You're probably right. Maybe he should have sent her a letter or whatever. But I think maybe if he was going to do it publicly, maybe he should have, maybe a little bit more detail. Like I'm saying, hey, Britney, I'm not able to contact you, but I'm doing this publicly because our relationship was public. And I know I didn't do things right back then. So, hey, here's my public apology. I really personally didn't think, I don't really follow people like that, or whatever. But I did, see it on TV and everything. So I was just like, whatever, me personally, whatever. But, that's the society, that's the time that we're living in, people, they get on Instagram, they get on whatever, Facebook, whatever their social media platform is, and they're quite outspoken on social media, and they're going about their business. Even the thing with Janet Jackson, that was a wardrobe malfunction. But, you know, I understand that Justin was young back then. He probably had people who were telling him, listen, don't say anything, stay behind the scenes, because he didn't speak up for her. He didn't say anything really, honestly, back then. And Janet took all the heat for it. She took, and, you know, they canceled her out. She couldn't perform, you know, any longer. They didn't want her back on the stage. She took the heat for it. But I understand he was also young, and he probably had a lot of people in his ear saying, listen, don't respond to that. You know, stay behind the scenes. You want to keep your, you know, your reputation clean. Just don't say anything. You know, sometimes, you know, stars and different ones who are in that arena, they have a lot of people talking in their ear. You know, they have a lot of people, you know, who are telling them different things. And he probably just listened to whoever was giving him advice. And he couldn't say anything back then. We don't know, you know, we're on the outside looking in, assuming.
Yeah. All right. Tori Lynn, I see you with your arm. It looks like you got your arms crossed. Like, wait a minute, hold up.
Because you know what, if we all look at what we've done over the years, you know, as I look back over my life and I think things over. So it's just like
church.
I mean, God, you know what I'm saying? But God. Right. But God, you know, because if anybody, I mean, if everybody knew like, okay, what did Tori go to jail for? You know, or I mean, I'm saying anything, I mean, you know, something I did 10 years ago, something I did 20 years ago, you know, something I did in high school. I was a whole mess in high school. I was molested very early. So I was just like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to punish everybody, you know? And I can laugh about that. You know, so I can laugh about it. I can make jokes of it. And I wrote a book about it on Taboo. I wrote about the effects of being molested. So if I go into the things that I've done, who in the world would I be able to minister, talk to, coach? You know, I wouldn't be able to talk to anybody. I may as well go and hide, because without and I'm not trying to go spiritual, but I'm saying David was a man after God's own heart. He had his own man killed because he got his wife pregnant. Why do we have to apologize for things that we did back in the day versus what we're doing now? You know, that's probably why I went, you know, I have a little bit of AD, you know, HD, so like that. So that's probably why I was looking like, oh, like, oh my God, what in the world would come up? You know, if somebody was like, you know what, you need to apologize to me about this. Really? No, I just, let's just move forward. Because now what this has done, this has brought up, because I didn't, you know, until you sent me the link, I didn't see what's going on with Justin Timberlake and Britney Spears right now. So if you know, so now this has brought something up about back in the day. So now I got to go Google what happened back in the day when we have moved forward. The clock continued to tick. The seasons continue to change. We have forgotten about it. And now we have social media that help with ADHD and ADD. It's like that. Because as soon as the next post come up, we've forgotten about what we just read about 30 minutes ago.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. But when you hear these people, and this is a question for you, AD, when you hear these people getting canceled and this person or that person or this particular source brings up something about this particular celebrity from 5-10 years ago, does that cause you to look at them differently?
Look at who differently? Because
the celebrity.
No, honestly, I think if anything, it causes me to look at the person that brought it up differently.
Come on now.
Because for me, like who
why?
Who am I to dig up what somebody, and then the honest side of it is, who am I to dig up what I perceive to be them operating wrong? That just means that they didn't live up to something that I deem to be right or to be wrong. It doesn't mean that it was right or wrong on either side. It just means that from my perception, I said, yo, this is wrong, or this is not right, or whatever the case is. But I'm looking at who brought it up. You know, I think that I'm just, you know, I'm not I'm not gonna look at the celebrity or whoever from a different lens and look at them like, oh, they so messed up, or how in the world could they do that, or whatever the case is. Like you know, like with the whole Justin Timberlake and Britney Spears thing. I mean, I you know, I celebrate the fact that he apologized, but to me, he didn't have to do that. Like we have all aided. If somebody's honest, and anybody that we dated in a relationship that did not work, somebody could say, you did me wrong. Like,
right.
We may be a victim in one situation, but we've probably been a victimizer in another. So,
Absolutely.
So if we're honest, we can all look at it and be like, yo, like, this was done wrong. I should have did this right. Or somebody could have a narrative to say whatever. And he just came out and was like, yo, you know, maybe I did play a part in that. I apologize, whatever the case is. But he didn't owe that to anybody, to be honest. And, you know, yeah, we hate where Britney Spears is, but also at the same time, he didn't owe Britney that. He didn't.
Right.
You know, Britney, that like you in a whole relationship. Both people play a part in the demise of a relationship. It ain't just one-sided.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just feel like we look for a reason to write people off. We look for a reason to bring up people's dirt. We look for a reason to bring up people's past. We look for a reason to whatever. And it's just like, man, come on, man. Like let's just be honest, say, yo, we all messed up. We all out here trying to do better and learn from mistakes and whatever the case is, man, and just move on.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm gonna take it to DJ Rollem. DJ Rollem, professional DJ. You known to play a lot of celebrity music, artists in the industry. And you hear it all the time, DJ Rollem. This particular artist, that particular artist did something in the past. They did this. What do you say? Do you still keep playing their music, even though this is someone who did something recently or in the past and has been canceled according to the online blogger or the person who is on the computer, on the laptop somewhere saying, hey, this person did this last week, or this person did this yesterday or 2 years ago? Let's say are you going to still play their music at a party or at an event?
It depends on what was done. It all depends on what was done that particular.
So R. Kelly.
Artist. Yeah, thank you. R. Kelly is the biggest one.
We was about to get into that. We were just about to dig into that.
Yeah, because I mean, with that, like, I don't like what he did, but I'm not going to get into his personal life when I'm listening to a song. And because the song, when we were listening to it before all the stuff really came out, because it came out before, but it really came out, what did we do? We enjoyed it. We danced to it and all that stuff. Yeah. So I'm like, you know, on a couple of mixes I've done within the last year, that I put them on there. I ain't put them on there for a long time, but I put it on there because guess what? It was with the groove of the mix. It was the lyrics that he said and kept me moving and all that. So I'm like, that it all depends. It all depends on what you did. Like, they even try to cancel out Michael Jackson before he died with all those cases about him touching kids and whatnot.
Child molestation, right? Yeah.
You know, so I'm like, the man's not here. He can't defend himself. And some, you know, HBO did something on about those accusers as grown men now, saying he did this and did that. But I'm like, you know, it all depends. You know, who should we cancel and whatnot. It all depends on what they did and how recent it was and all that. Talking about Justin Timberlake and what he did as a teenager. That's what, 15 plus years ago. So should we really discuss that? Is that really newsworthy? You know, R. Kelly hasn't gone through the trial yet because of the COVID. So what are we going to do when the case starts and whatnot? Are we going to still do what we're doing now? Play a song every now and then, or to cut him out completely because he did what he did? He's been convicted and whatnot. Who knows?
That's a good question. Let's talk about that for a moment. I want to go back to something that Bill Maher also said in his assessment. R. Kelly, artists like R. Kelly, or just R. Kelly by himself, the evidence is put out there. Yeah, he didn't go to trial and everything, but we've been following this saga for years, ever since the sex tape, or even beyond the sex tape, with his involvement with Aaliyah a long time ago. And then we hear the whole campaign, Mute R. Kelly, right? We hear Mute R. Kelly. Is that too also a part of cancel culture? Let's say you, Buffy, is that also a part of cancel culture? Mute R. Kelly.
That is a part of cancel culture. I remember back in my days when I was out there clubbing, I was rocking to R. Kelly. Like, that was the thing. That was the
we all were.
And we heard that R. Kelly had married Aaliyah. She was 15. I don't think back then everybody was like, we don't care. We was having a good time. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I was young back then, but I think now people are just thinking about righting the wrongs. This thing now, let's right the wrongs. Bill Cosby. You hear people saying, we heard about him dropping Quaaludes and doing all this crazy stuff. Now, all of a sudden, everybody's got a conscience now. Everybody's trying to right the wrongs of somebody, what they've done. And so I think now, that R. Kelly thing is kind of crazy. As I watch Surviving R. Kelly and all those things, I hate, some of the things that a lot of everything that the girls went through. They went through some stuff. R. Kelly, it seemed like he manipulated and all that stuff. Hey, he brainwashed, whatever. But when I look at it, it's just like, whose fault is it really? I don't think he was holding them captive, like he had them tied up in a room. From what I perceived, the way I saw it, a couple of girls said they walked away. So apparently there was some open door for them to actually walk out of the situation and walk out of the relationship that they were in with him. So my thing was, were you being held against your will? That's one thing. But if you're staying because this is what you're doing, then, sometimes we got to kind of think about it. It's kind of like a weighty issue. I don't know. I just pray for him because apparently he's dealing with some demons there. He's got some stuff that's really got him bound, and all I can do is just really pray for him. I can't condemn him, but I got to pray for him. Absolutely.
But you can pray for somebody, but you, at the same time, you can cancel them.
Absolutely, you can.
Wow.
You can, because I think every situation is different. Every situation is different. It's just like if you cancel someone from what they did 10 or 15 years ago, they might not be the same person. But if you cancel me for something that I'm actively into and I've been practicing, it has been a lifestyle for years and years, and maybe somebody has brought it out and they find out that I'm really this crazy, narcissistic, off the chain, doing some heavy duty stuff, and I'm participating in a certain lifestyle that is not, that shouldn't be done, then yeah, I think people, we have a right to cancel people like that. We have that right if they're actually living a certain type of lifestyle that they shouldn't be. We see athletes and all kinds of people all the time who are doing things and they lose endorsements. They lose endorsements for things, for lifestyles and things that they do, things that they've gotten themselves into, and they've lost endorsements because they have to carry a certain, a standard for the company. And if you don't carry that standard, if you don't live that standard out, you lose your endorsement. So that's the consequences, that everybody wants to be a star, but there's responsibility and accountability with being a star. And that's the part we don't want. We want the money, we want the fame, but we don't want the responsibility that comes with being in the public eye.
Please say that to the young rappers. Please say that to the young rappers out there, because I'm like, man, if these young rappers just keep blowing money and not investing it and whatnot, I'm like, it's just so many come to mind and whatnot. And then there's always some type, now you say all of them, but there's a few types, always got that drug paraphernalia going on with them and whatnot to keep that style and all that stuff, to keep that hidden. just in case something slides through. I'm like, come on, leave it alone.
I think that right now with if any type of cancel culture that we need to be canceled right now, it didn't happen because Donald Trump can run in 2024.
Yeah.
So if we should be canceling anybody, let's talk about what happened just last month.
Right.
You know, or,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Let's just bring it on home. So that's my thing is, you know, if we go cancel culture, let's do the stuff that's happening right now. Because this is the stuff that's affecting us right now. It's not, you know, let's think about this pandemic and how many people are dying right now because of something that was invented in 2019 and we didn't hear about it till March and everybody already sick by now, you know, so
right.
You know, come on now, let's bring it on home. Let's not deal with stuff that happened 10 or 15 years ago right now. We got people dying right now.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I think another part, man, just to chime into it, you know, and it's a question that I kind of, you know, wrote down because, you know, we brought up, you know, R. Kelly, brought up Bill Cosby, you know, and to me, the consistent trend, and I know Bill Maher, you know, touched on it, but I think the trend is that majority of the time when culture is canceled, is always the Black culture. It's always the Black artist.
Boom, that part.
It's always the African Americans. We are the ones that control who gets canceled.
That's very true.
Like so where's that same cancel culture when, you know, when our Caucasian counterparts are doing what we consider heinous or whatever the case is, and, you know, like, are they truly canceled? And I think it's us working against us.
Now, Buffy, we talked about this a few days ago
prior to
this because you brought up an artist happens to be a country singer. He's not Black. He's white. The name escapes me at the moment, but he made a racist remark or used the N-word. And then after that, there was reports saying that radio stations stopped playing his music.
Did.
So to AD's point, it centers, the cancel culture thing seems to center around people of color or Black people, but it can also affect the Caucasian people as well. Maybe not on a higher level as Black people, but even our Caucasian counterparts can also be a target of cancel culture. Let's say
and Morgan Wallen, that was his name. That's his name.
Wallen. Okay. And here's the thing. I'm not necessarily saying that they aren't. Of course, I'm going to hear more about the Black culture because I'm a Black man, right? So maybe it's just what I pay attention to and what I put my attention towards. But, you know, every time I hear about cancel culture or whatever the case is, you know, because like we are the ones to cancel and write off certain people because they do certain things. We know actors, actresses that have been blackballed. We know directors and people in music that have been blackballed. We know, you know, because we infiltrate the culture so much. So if we say that this person is canceled, but when we look at our Caucasian counterparts, they may be canceled for a moment. Let's look at Charlie Sheen. You know, like you know, they may be canceled for a moment, but then they right back to work. You see what I'm saying? So it's just you know, it is in our eyes. You know, my question is, in our eyes, are certain things just unforgivable that we just like, you know what, like I'm gonna hold this person to this place for as long as I possibly can, or until they die, and then we try to say how well they were, how amazing they were.
But Pastor AD, this man, he used the N-word, but he was calling his own Caucasian friends the N-word. I mean, it wasn't like he was calling another Black man, you know, a nigga, but he was calling his friends, which was caught on a camera. What is it? What's the camera out there they use? little doorbell camera, whatever.
Oh yeah, like the Ring camera.
Yeah, like the ring camera. And he was calling his friends because he was out there drinking. They walked away. He was like, "I see y'all ends later." And he said, I mean, it wasn't like he was calling another black man. And my case in point to Sean was, it's like, a lot of our people, African Americans, rappers and all, we say that in our music. They use that in their music, in a lot of the rap music. And that, listen, let's be honest, it's more Caucasians, patronizing rap music just as it is blacks. So it's popular to them to be in the car. I can be going down the street, pull up somebody in the car, and they be just as white as I don't know what, but they be bumping to the rap music, and they don't see it as a problem. We popularized it, so it's like, okay, are we going to be offended by it, or what? Oh, he can't call me a nigga, but I can call my brother, my sister. It doesn't make any sense. So I really don't understand why they canceled him, because he wasn't saying it to a black man or a black woman. He was saying it to his friends who were Caucasian.
Well, I think, and man, I think this conversation could really go, because I think that a lot of times, and now this is not gonna be a lot of people ain't gonna like
Come
this.
on now, we almost into the second hour. We almost into the second hour of the podcast. Let's do it.
So because here is what I believe. I believe we want to be separate when we want to be separate. I believe we want to be equal when we want to be equal, and we don't know when we want to be what.
I agree. You said it.
I totally agree.
You said it.
And I'm a black man. I am a black man. I love being a black man. I'm an educated black man. I'm the most feared individual on this planet. We are, as black men, educated black men, we're the most feared people. You talking about a lion? No, we are the most feared person on this planet. Once a black man knows who he is, it changes the trajectory of everything. Now, with that being
said, once you know who he is,
bingo. Once he know who he is, it changes everything. But with that being said, I just think we pick and choose when it's most advantageous for us to pull a black card, and to pull when we want to call racist, and when we want to do this and do this. Because my thing is, if I'm a black man and I got a white friend and I call him a nigga, then he got every right to call me a nigga too. I made it okay for him. We made it a language of whatever. So my thing is we want to be included when we want to be included. And I get it, like a lot of people ain't gonna like that, and people gonna say whatever about me. I don't care. But at the end of the day, we have to stand on the grounds of what we want to be called and what we want to deem as, if we're talking about canceling people, like the reason why we don't know that, we should cancel them or should we not, because we vacillate on what's important to us and what we're going to hold as a standard for us as a culture.
That's good.
We don't know.
We dictate. So in other words, we dictate who we should cancel and who we should not cancel. Which is a form of hypocrisy. And I was telling my cousin Buffy a few days ago that cancel culture can, to some degree, look as a form of hypocrisy. Like we canceling this person online, their celebrity, and he or she has done something stupid in the past, but as civilians, as everyday people, or your regular average Joe, we could be doing stupid stuff just as much as them, or even 10 times more. So it's like we've been so socially engineered for 40, 50, 60 years, however far you want to go back, to put these celebrities on a pedestal, thinking that, they got to be perfect all the time. They can't do no wrong. But then when something happens, whether they said something in the past or most recently or done something, it's like, oh, wait a minute, hold up. I thought you was the person who couldn't do anything wrong, but now you did something, and so now we got to cancel you. That's just how it goes. Yeah. So.
Yep.
So,
No,
Tori,
I mean,
go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, I definitely agree with you, man. Like, I don't, and here's the thing for me. I feel like I feel like we as a people, because we don't know how we're going to address each other, we don't know how we're going to, and now I am on the bus. I do agree with, like now the popular verbiage is king and queen. Now I don't like people to king me to death. Like I'm so sick and tired of it. I mean, I hear it, I appreciate it, but every other word, you don't have to address me as king. I get it. Thank you. I know I'm not an N-word. I am a king. I get it, but you ain't got to king me to death. All right. But what I am saying is that I do think that the reason why it is so up and down is because we as a people cannot come to grips and agreement of what we deem as African Americans across the board as a level of respect and as a line that cannot be crossed. And so it sends a message to every other ethnic background to say they so divided, we don't know who they gonna be.
Right. We confuse them, right?
Yep, we confuse them. And that's the reason why I brought up that, like, as far as like the whole write-off thing or the counseling thing, is because I think that we turn against each other so much. So like we look for the past of an individual. And I know that we started off, talking about Justin Timberlake, and he's not Black, but he's kind of inherited into the African American culture.
He's collaborating with some Black
Joker
artists
from Memphis, so we'll call him a ninja. We'd be like, oh boy, that Nick can sing, boy. You know what I'm saying? It is where I don't think that, where we turn on each other so much that we look for ways and things to write off. And I'm not trying to right any wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like R. Kelly, what he's done, or whatever he's guilty of. I think sometimes, even in that situation, I have an unpopular opinion with that, because I do think that there were some parents that were selling out their kids for fame.
Absolutely.
You can't tell me in any other different. If that dude got an issue, ain't nowhere in the world I'm sending my daughter. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it's all right.
Ain't nowhere in the world, bro. I adopted a daughter at the age of 17. When she was 17, I adopted her. At 17, I'm not sending my daughter to R. Kelly. She raps. I'm not sending my daughter to R. Kelly house at 17 without me.
Come on,
man. Like
we ain't even going.
But and it doesn't excuse his issue. Mm-hmm. But if I am aware of a person's issue, for one, that's just funny to me, period. So what I'm saying is, I do think that certain people put their child on the plate of offer for the sake of fame. And it's just advantageous that all of a sudden you got Surviving R. Kelly and then you release an album at the same time. Come on, man. Like, we capitalize on somebody else's issue to benefit our pockets, because now we want to launch a project, or now I'm about to do this. So now, since I'm doing this, I'm about to tell this story. Like,
don't forget to mention he put out a 10-minute song.
Oh yeah,
on YouTube.
Yeah, right.
You feel me?
Yeah.
The song should be canceled. It should be canceled.
The song. So man, I just think that we kill ourselves a lot of times, man. I think that we kill our potential giants in whatever area that they're in, like in music industry or film industry. We talk about Bill Cosby, we talk about all that stuff, and wrong is wrong, right? It is wrong is wrong, but also at the same time, Bill Cosby, was wrong in things that he did, but I'm still watching the Cosby Show.
Right. Same here.
Y'all can, people cannot like me all day long and be like, oh, you shouldn't be. Listen, I watched the Cosby Show faithfully, and Amazon Prime took Cosby Show off for a little while, and then when they put it back, I was so excited, because I was like, I'm going to, and I watch it from episode 1 to
put it back on.
Whatever it is, because because that was a pinnacle for you know, that was like something I look forward to growing up. So I watch it now as a euphoria, man. It's amazing. And to have wholesome shows. You mean to tell me that now our kids just looking up to Lil Scrappy and to these reality, you know what I'm saying, to these reality people? I get it, but also at the same time, man, I just feel like, man, we just kill our own people, man. And again, wrong is wrong. Yeah, you got to answer for that. You got to do, you know what I'm saying? If you did the crime, you got to do the time. I get all of that. I do. I really, really do. But also at the same time, man, I think we search for stuff to cancel our own people. I do.
My question is, why didn't they do something about Bill Cosby back then when they knew he was in the act? That's my thing. When you knew he was in the act, why didn't you try to stop him back then when he was doing it?
Why wait?
His career?
There's an answer for that. There's an answer for that. And I think and maybe AD and DJ Rollem can attest to this. I think it has to do with the open platform, which of course is social media. And nowadays, everything is fair game. It's free range now. It's just the times that we're living in compared to the 90s and 80s when certain things were still taboo. Nowadays, because you have social media, you have the free platform to say what you have to say what you want to say. It's all about the freedom to express what it is that you feel like you have to say more than ever before. Hannibal Buress, the comedian who helped started it all, in which, of course, landed Bill Cosby in prison for the things that he done in the 70s. Hannibal Buress had an open platform. And a lot of people gravitate to him, especially his followers on social media. And the person who was at that comedy show taping Hannibal Buress for saying what he said about Bill Cosby just happened to take it to the next level. So I think it's just a free medium that we have nowadays, to where back then, back in the 80s and 90s, people were still on that hush hush. Like, oh, you can't say anything. You can't say anything because this could ruin your career. You can't say this because this type of thing could happen to you. You could get blackballed or whatever. But now you have free range to pretty much say anything and everything about that person that could end up crucifying that person or put that person in jail or in prison or just ruin their career. I just think that it's just the times that we're living in where everything is free now. You're free to say whatever you want. You're free to say whatever is on your mind about that person or about that particular situation. I just look at it like that.
I got to say something on this. It's been on my mind for about 10 minutes or so. Kevin Hart comes to mind what he said about gay folks years ago. And that's why he couldn't host the Oscars.
Rollem, I'm so glad you went there.
And I'm like, he said it, he apologized. And since because you were saying that, AD, that we didn't exclude, cancel him out and whatnot, but the white folks was doing, they were looking for us to cancel him out. But we already saw that he apologized. Y'all not going on the apology, you're just going about what he said, even though he apologized for what he said, since we didn't cancel him out as black folks of Kevin Hart. Like, all right. He can do it, but we're gonna have some restrictions or something like that. So they're looking at us, like you said, AD, for us to cancel folks and whatnot. So I'm like, man, come on. This
let me ask you this. Let me ask you this question on DJ Rollem, and this may be a question for everybody. Now, when you say white people, or people that don't look like us, or just people in general looking to cancel Kevin Hart out, is it everybody or white people trying to cancel Kevin Hart for saying what he said, or was it the LGBTQ community?
White people
that was trying to cancel him out.
Yeah, they did that to Nick Cannon as well.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Now, bro, I'm with DJ Rollem on that, man. It was white people, and the thing is, he apologized, but they wanted him to apologize a certain type of way.
Yeah.
And they was like, it wasn't enough. And then take it even a step further, he turned around, because I'm a Kevin Hart fan. I like Kevin Hart. I believe I will be working with him sometime soon in the film industry. I live in LA. I came out here to pursue certain things, and I believe I'll be working with him. But the thing about it is, because he apologized and he didn't apologize the way they wanted him to, and we didn't write him off the way they wanted him to, then they was like, you got to apologize this way. He didn't agree to it. So then he backed away and he turned down because he wasn't going to be, oh, y'all don't like the apology that I gave. And the thing of it is, I feel as though, all right, for one, this happened years ago. This was a set on his comedic stand-up, right? And then they said the issue wasn't his comedic stand-up. For one, I think comedy is freedom of speech, period. You can say whatever you want to. If you don't like it, don't watch it. It's that simple. So that's like, you know,
keep scrolling.
Yeah, exactly. But then they were like, oh, well, it was because it was on Twitter. So here it is, because he did tweet certain things that later were deleted, and they found the tweets that had screenshots of the tweets of the joke. So my thing is, wherever you did the offense, then that's where you do the apology. He apologized on Twitter. That should have been it.
Right.
Let me say something, but let me say this about the whole thing with Kevin Hart. I feel as though, and maybe you disagree, I feel as though it goes back to the LGBTQ community. And I'm a supporter of the LGBTQ community. Let's make that clear first. But at the same, and I know a few friends of mine and people that are in my circle that are a part of the LGBTQ community. But I feel as though it's this. If the LGBTQ, because it came from somebody or some people from that community that pointed that out about Kevin Hart. If the LGBTQ community didn't go into an uproar of that whole Kevin Hart joke from back in the day, if they didn't go into an uproar about it, the people from the Oscars or from ABC, they would have still let Kevin Hart host the Oscars.
So
I believe that.
I'll say this, bro. I agree with you. I got a lot of friends that are in that community, right? I listen, I pastor people that are in that community. But what I will say is that if you have a problem or something bothered you from somebody's past or what they said in the past, my thing is this. If you're clear about the offense and you're clear about the issue, also be clear about how you want them to fix it. What happened was they said, we want an apology. They didn't say how. He came out and apologized. That wasn't enough. We want you to apologize this way. An apology, if I, for one, again, it's just me. It's just me. I could be so wrong. But I'm saying that if you say, hey, I would like an apology, and I say, hey, I'm truly sorry for the words that I said 10 years ago. That's an apology.
That is.
That's an apology.
Right.
But then you come back and say, that wasn't good enough.
That's your problem. That's your problem.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So I definitely agree with you. I'm just saying, let's be clear about what you want me to do. If you just say,
I think it's just,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Tori.
No, wait. Okay. I think it's across the board. And I'm gonna get out for like 5 minutes because I have 11 and 12-year-olds. They need to get their stuff together for school tomorrow. But I think it's across the board. I think that equally, everybody is just, it depends on when and where they want to do it or who they want to apologize. I don't think it's just Black people that's doing it, because again, we have Donald Trump in office and he has said everything about everybody.
Facts.
About
yes, he did.
It does not matter.
Really?
And that man still held office, still caused a whole, what was it called?
Insurrection.
Yes. I mean, come on now. And you can run for president and win and cause corruption while you in there. So I'm saying, and they kept him in. So my mom just told me earlier, she said they passed the $1,400 next stimulus check. She just told me that about an hour ago. So I said, well, what was the problem? She was like, the Republicans didn't want to do it. I'm saying, okay, so she said, because now that's going to look good on Joe Biden. You know, my mom, she just, we were raised Jehovah's Witness, so she's just like, just not getting into it, you know, politics. But what I'm saying is that, you know, I think it's just across the board, whoever wants to blackball, whoever, you know, if there was one of the worst presidents in the United States, then everybody would probably agree that it was, not everybody, but majority of people would agree that it was Trump, because he has done everything offensive to any culture. I mean, to call it, and we can laugh at it. Like I'm gonna be honest, that was funny when he was calling it the Chinese virus. It was offensive, but it was funny because it was just like, how you gonna call it? You know what I'm saying? It was hilarious. That I have, you know, kind of a little weird sense of humor. It was something else that he said that was funny to me as well. So I just think that it depends on the people, because if this man can still be in office for 4 years, he never got impeached, he can still run in 2024, or is it 2024, 21? You know, whatever one, he can still run. Is that not shocking to us?
Yeah,
so that's
very.
what I'm saying.
Very.
Either way it goes,
that's what I say.
Is that crazy?
So you mean to tell me, Coach Tori, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just want to interject, because I think you're making an amazing point. And I just want to say this. So you mean to tell me Kevin Hart couldn't host an award show for making reference to making a gay joke in a stand-up comedy? Like like he's a comic. He can
run for president and win.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
right.
And Trump can say whatever he wants to about whatever he wants to, grab women, demean women, talk about blacks, talk about Chinese, talk about, and then run for the president of the United States and win.
That's it.
Come on, man.
And can run again.
Come on.
Yes, and that's the crazy part about it.
Now that's the note I'm gonna leave y'all on. How about that?
Oh, I got a bonus on it. I got a bonus. I got a
DJ
bonus.
Rollem, what you got, bro?
I got a bonus. How in the world you gonna talk about talk about Ted Cruz, about his mother, his father and his wife during the campaign in 2015 to win 2016, talking about him so bad, and Ted Cruz is your biggest fan.
Absolutely.
I'm like, okay, is that acceptable? Can you talk about somebody that you're running against for the same seat, talk about him so bad, and the person that you talk about so bad is your biggest supporter?
He was doing it for the party, though. He was just doing it for the Republican Party.
Really?
Not only that, we have people that put their lives on the line every single day that's fighting wars for us. That's supposed to be keeping our land safe so that we don't have to be in the midst of it. And you're going to talk about Joe Biden's child that was killed over there. So my thing is that it doesn't matter what's going on, who says what. If we're going to get real with it, we're going to just go to the root of it. Let's just go ahead and put Donald Trump let's put him in the forefront. He's the poster child.
Let's
absolutely
what is the line that cannot be crossed that cancels beyond culture, that cancels beyond color barrier?
That's the only thing that comes to my mind. Murder. You got to actually kill somebody and whatnot, then you're completely gone. That's the only thing that comes to mind, because you can always run your mouth and do your actions, but when you kill somebody,
I think Trump practically did that with the insurrection. I mean,
with the insurrection,
because people died. And then when he called it the Chinese virus, he caused other people to attack Asians, which was wrong. This man had like a hypnotizing spirit on different people. I mean, we talking about educated, wealthy people, Ivy League college. We think these are the people that supposed to have some sense. But I tell you, when they say common sense ain't common, it's just not. Book smarts and common sense is totally different.
Yes.
And I'm finding that a lot of Caucasians who are wealthy and educated can be some of the most craziest people. I know. I work for them. I tell that. I don't care. I put that in public. I work for them. And I'm telling them they can be some of the craziest people. I'm telling you. And it is sad. And the problem is, I think Ted Cruz, he backed Trump up because he's so loyal to the Republican Party. I don't think it was really about because he liked Trump. I think he's just trying to, rep for his party. And then he's probably was thinking, hindsight, if Trump can run in 2024, I want to be the man in his cabinet. I want to be in his administration. So I'm not going to vote him out. I'm not going to go against him just in case. Because Ted Cruz is looking for his future. I'm telling you, the man, he's thinking ahead. He's looking at the other people like, y'all stupid. I'm about to be the man in this 2024. I think that's what he was really pretty much doing.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now. Well, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you like this. Ted was definitely cruising out of Texas when that winter storm hit. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about canceling somebody, hey, there were people that canceled Ted Cruz for doing what he did during that winter storm in Texas.
Yeah.
Ted was definitely cruising. But hey, Tori, I know you got to go. I know you got to leave, but we really appreciate you for being on the Beat Break Morning Show and giving your perspective on the topic. But before you go, Tori, can you go ahead and give out your social media information, your social media handles? Where can people follow you? And also a website, because we want people to not only follow you, but to also get your latest books and more merch.
I have, I'm switching over, but I still have Linktree.com, Coach Tori Lynn. And even on Google, anybody that hashtag author Tori Lynn, AUTHORTORILYNN, that's, you can find me on Google as well, author Tori Lynn. There's a lot of Tori Lynn's I found out. So author Tori Lynn is up there, and or linktree.com / Coach Tori Lynn. I'm starting to put that out a little bit more because I was doing it for free for so long. So I was just like, oh my gosh. So I went on here and got certified for it. But yeah, I enjoyed tonight. I really enjoyed it. And I'm glad to have met you guys. So thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And Tori, absolutely, Tori. We'll talk offline, by the way. We'll talk offline and chop it up some more.
Okay.
Nice to meet you, Coach Tori.
Right, bye-bye.
You too.
All right. Bye to the doggy, by the way.
Oh my God.
In the background. It's the Beat Break Morning Show, the Beat Break Podcast. That was Tori Lynn weighing in on the conversation. Having a very, very great conversation as we talk about cancel culture, the art of forgiveness in a cancel culture society with Adrian A.D. Davis and cousin Buffy. We're going to call her cousin Buffy.
That's it.
That's part of the family. Hey, great segue from politics, going back to Bill Maher. And I said that we were going to go back to the excerpt that Bill Maher had made in regards to cancel culture and his perspective of it. There was a term that he used in his assessment on cancel culture, and that was liberals. Speaking of politics, because we hear that word a lot, liberal. If it's not liberal, it's conservative. If it's not conservative, then it's liberal. Any of us here on the Zoom, are we considered as liberals? And if we are we too a part of canceling people in a cancel culture society?
I'll kind of go first. More likely, I'm considered as liberal, but I'm also independent in certain cases as well. It all depends on what the situation is. I mean, we talked about Trump earlier, but I ain't gonna just focus on it because everybody basically knows, definitely on this panel, how Trump is and was, before he got into politics and whatnot. But as in canceling folks, it all depends. Like I said way earlier, about maybe 15 minutes ago, when you completely cancel somebody out is murder. When you actually kill somebody off this earth because they can't, be on this earth anymore. So then there's the longevity of situations, like an R. Kelly situation of those women who been basically brainwashed and everything. So it's the longevity of that. We won't know exactly of that longevity until some of the case come out, because the movie ain't going to do but so much and whatnot. So it all depends on what it is. And that's just my particular opinion. on how to actually cancel folks out. I know this is kind of getting into the music world again. Like some folks were getting on Ice Cube and whatnot, thinking he was on Trump's side. And if you really understand Ice Cube, in my opinion, I understand Ice Cube. He was just putting out his opinion. He's not saying he's following what Trump has suggested. He just want to make sure that everybody's on track on doing what he's supposed to do to help with the Black community. That's just my opinion.
I won't say, because really, I don't even know the definition of liberal and all that other type of stuff. I'm just me. And but Rollem, DJ Rollem, I want to, like what you just said, and you use Cube, for example. I think this whole cancel culture and just where we are with social media and everything else has tried to mute the opinions and the individuality of people. And it's like, if you don't agree with the consensus, then you crazy, you losing your mind, you in support of this and this. And it's just like, yo, I can have a different perspective than you. And I like just because everybody agrees on this, and majority of the time everybody doesn't agree with that, just people don't do the research and do their due diligence to learn about a different perspective. So what they do, they settle for the lazy way. So so when everybody was talking about Cube, it was just so easy for everybody to be against Cube until they heard, the soundbite and, his perspective on the interview. Then it's like, oh, wait a minute, it ain't that bad. But for 3 weeks, you were dogging them.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So I just think that, man, we should have the right to garner our own opinion. And then also at the same time, if our opinion is, not in agreement with everybody else, man, have the space to do that. That's what social media is. It's the ability to share my 2 cents. And right. If my 2 cents doesn't agree with yours, it doesn't mean that I'm wrong. It just means that, we just don't agree on that particular topic. And it doesn't mean like I'm against the culture, or I don't, I can't rock with that person no more. No, like it's a difference of opinion, man. And I think that now we made so many people afraid to have a difference of opinion, because now we're going to get wrote off, or we're going to get canceled, and they're not going to support us, and they're not going to support our project. And I would much rather somebody be who they are than who I want them to be, because that's where their creativity is.
Okay. With that being said, it's like a husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend. You're going to have disagreements all the time. That's part of life, but you got to come to a common ground. And that's the thing that people are forgetting, learning how to do, is coming to a common ground, because you have a difference of an opinion. Come to a common ground. And then once we get to a common ground, then we can move forward. Don't keep bashing about what he said or she said and how she or he said it, because that's what they were feeling at the moment. So when they're feeling at the moment and say what they said, okay, all right, come back and say something that is not derogatory against what they said, but say it so we can come to a common ground. And that's why I think a lot of folks have lost, is coming to a common ground.
Yep.
But I wanna say something, and then we'll go to Buffy. I want to say this to DJ Rollem and AD's point. I also think too is the person's mindset, and there's people out there that don't want a certain people's mindset to grow, or don't want that person to grow and look at things from a different lens. Perfect example, since we are kind of somewhat in the music realm of this conversation when it comes to cancel culture. And I think you already know who I'm about to say, DJ Rollem. Yep. Your boy Kanye West. which Kanye West, and it's so interesting I bring his name up, because Kanye West said in the interview, courtesy of Big Boy TV, he used the term, of course, cancel culture. He said, I've been canceled. I've been canceled before there was cancel culture. Because people know Kanye West from his controversial style and some of his music and stuff like that, Jesus Walks, etc. So, the old Kanye is not like the new Kanye. The old Kanye, and I use that term liberal, we go back to liberal. Old Kanye was attracting and was targeting mostly the liberal audiences, the people that come from that particular demographic, liberals. Like Bush don't care anything. Bush don't care about Black people when Hurricane Katrina hit, and his stance on different things and different subject matters and stuff like that. And then fast forward years later, post Kim Kardashian, he hangs out, takes a picture with Donald Trump, and he agrees with a lot of things that Donald Trump has put into place. So now we have went from the liberal Kanye West to more of the conservative Kanye West. So are we still going to cancel artists or people like Kanye West that have went from this part of their life to another part because they just look at life from a different lens? They just look at it from a different perspective. Let's say you, Buffy.
I personally, I just feel like if people don't agree with Kanye West, you don't have to cancel him. Just don't spend your money on his music. I mean, I'm not whatever. That is still part of canceling, though. If you no longer buy his music. Saying, if somebody you don't agree with, like, you don't have to put your money into them. You don't have to support them in that way. You don't have to, buy his Yeezys or whatever it is that he has, his clothing line. You have to buy his music. I had downloaded his choir, Sunday choir. Jesus King, the album was dope. My son, he be bumping it. We be bumping all the time. But I'm just like this. When you don't agree with somebody, you don't agree. I mean, there's a lot of people I don't agree with. I don't agree with their lifestyle. I don't agree with what they do. I don't agree with what they say. But that doesn't stop me from respecting them. And, that doesn't keep me from loving people or respecting them. I think that's the thing now. This culture here, we just think that, hey, we just throw out the baby with the bathwater. No, we have to respect one another. I may not like what you're saying. I may not like what you're doing. Look, I don't have to hang with you. I don't have to run with you. I don't have to put my money in your bank account. I can love you from a distance. I can respect you. We don't have to be bosom buddies or whatever the case may be. You can keep living your life and I can keep living mine. I just think with this cancel culture, as I said earlier, people just pick and choose. We're drawing lines every day. It's a different line every day. You don't know what line people is drawing now. You don't know when you're offensive. You don't know when you're not, I was offended the other day when I heard someone say something about the LGBT, it's all those letters, y'all. I get mixed up sometimes.
So do I.
Yeah, A, B, C, D, F, G, whatever. Somebody said, like, it's just like, Black people, civil rights, like the Black. I'm like, no, you can't, compare LGBTQ plus to Black people. We were born Black. Nobody look at you and see you gay. No, that's something that comes along later. But hey, as soon as when our mothers was carrying us in the womb, we already had a demerit. We already had a minds. They already had something against us just from looking at our parents. Before we were even conceived. You get what I'm saying? So you can't compare. I was offended by that. I was like, well, hold up. We've been fighting even before we got in the womb. Our parents, our grandparents. Don't compare that. I know you want to live your life. You want to do what you do, but don't compare that with our skin color. Because people automatically, as Kanye West said, gonna marginalize you just for your skin color. That's not the same. When you're born, we don't know you gay. I mean, is there a gay cry? Is there a gay baby look? Is there a homosexual? I don't know. Somebody school me. I don't know. But when we are born, our skin color is already evident just from who our parents are. So you can't compare the two struggles. And so that's where I am now. People are drawing lines every day. I'm certainly, and to this point, if you get up on TV and I'm, you have maybe a line of clothing, cosmetics, whatever the case may be, you're Caucasian, and you get up there and be like, you know what? I ain't trying to let these Negretians, I'm gonna say it like that, I'm not for the Negretians, I'm not for this, and other. Of course, I'm gonna cancel you because you're already telling me right there in your lifestyle, you want my money, but you don't like us. You know, that's where I draw the line at. Like, if you have something now that you're selling you in a marketplace and you're saying that you can't stand us, you don't like us, you don't want to be a part of what we're doing, you know, but you want our green money? No, you need to be canceled. We need to boycott you because Black dollar is the most powerful dollar out there. And without our money, a lot of people don't have nothing. Without our talent, without our music, without everything that we created. Somebody said the Black community contributed to America. No, we built America, baby. You got it twisted. We built America. We built the White House. It's on the backs of our ancestors, our great-grandparents. We did that. That comb you using, come on, that heart surgery you just had, that was from our brothers and sisters. If you don't like us all the way, baby. Let's take it all the way back. Don't use what we invented. That's what I'm talking about. But every day people are just drawing all these lines. You just don't know which way to go. That's why I just say, you know, hey, you want to take it to the spiritual side? You invite pastors on here. We got to be led by the Spirit all the way. If we're led by the Spirit, we'll never go wrong. If we are led by the Spirit of God, we'll never go wrong with people. That's why discernment is so necessary. If it feels wrong, if it sounds, people call it instinct, but you got a God conscience on the inside and something don't seem right, you better go with what you see and what you feel on the inside and go to God in prayer and say, okay, what my antenna saying? What is this I'm feeling? God, what am I hearing? What is this that I'm seeing? And you got to know what to do about it. I feel my little preacher coming up, so I'm gonna have to stand down.
Listen, we should have had you on our Black History Month podcast a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, right.
You broke it all the way down. Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that, and that segues into forgiveness. I remember once upon a time, I was working at a gospel radio station. And after the show ended that I produced, I was sitting down and I was talking to not a producer, but a pastor who also did a show at the gospel radio station at the time. And we were talking about something, I can't remember what it was about, but he said something to me that sticks out to me to this very day. And he said that we as a people are slow to forgive. And AD, this question is for you. Why are we slow to forgive, especially in a cancel culture society?
I think the biggest thing is the reason why we're slow to forgive. Here's my principle from my life. The person that cannot forgive is the person that has forgotten what they have been forgiven of. The person that cannot forgive is the person that has forgotten what they have been forgiven of. Whenever you can't forgive, somewhere there's been amnesia that you forgot that I may not have done that, but I done something. And I think we pick and choose the stuff we forgive. We pick and choose the stuff that we give grace to. And majority of the time, that grace is hinged upon our experience. And what I mean by that is that if we've done it, then we give grace to it.
Come on.
So if I identify with that struggle, you know what? The Lord gonna forgive them.
Yeah.
But if I don't identify with it, if I don't identify with it, then that's unforgivable. Who are we?
That's
who?
right.
I mean, like who? Like, bro, like I just come to the place where I'm just like, who am I? Who am I? Who am I to say what someone is able to be forgiven of, what somebody is able to be released of, or whatever the case is? Like, who am I? And I think that we have become so indoctrinated with our own theologies and with our own concepts, and also what we believe God supports and what we believe God doesn't. It's so many people that we done put in hell that God has in heaven right now. Like in our theology, in our minds, we be like, oh, they're gonna go to hell. And then God like, yeah, you may not like them, but I still love them.
There you go. I like that.
So what we do based upon our preference We put that's our preference. Just because you don't prefer something don't mean it's a sin. And I think that's our issue, man. Like forgiveness is such a big piece. Like, and then people, you know, there are many scripture, man, that relates to that. Like in Mark chapter number 11, I think it's like verse 32, where it says, where it says that if we do not forgive, like how can our Father in heaven forgive us? Right?
That's it.
So like my forgiveness for somebody else is hinged upon the forgiveness that I receive in my own life from God. And the reason why I choose to forgive is because I need God to forgive me. Right. Then that conversation that Jesus had with Peter and what he's having with the disciples. And then he says, well, how many times should a person, how many times should he forgive? And he says up to 70 times 7. This what like Peter says, because Peter thinks that he's like, you know, I'm about to get God. I'm about to get Jesus with this one. He doesn't know the answer. Up to 7 times, like he come out, you know, Peter, like, you know, up to 7 times. I know that. That. Up to 7 times. And he says, no, up to 70 times 7. Up to 70 times 7. I'm not a good mathematician, but I have come to a place, I think it's 490. And then what that says is legit 490 times, watch this, doing the same thing the exact same way. There cannot be a deviation from it. So if I hit you in one spot the same way 490 times without deviating from where I hit you, but then also it has a time frame on that, 24 hours.
Come on.
24 hours. And then here's the thing. Ain't nobody doing the same thing to you 490 times within 24 hours. It's just that we just keep rethinking about it. We keep reliving it and we keep playing it over in our head and we keep putting ourselves in the same situation. The problem is we didn't like you could have forgave if you really stopped harping on it. And our issue is we don't want to like let it go. And a lot of times, and I'm gonna tell you, and I'll be done with it right here. You know, so I start out with saying the reason why we don't forgive is because we forget what we've been forgiven of. But then here's the thing too. The reason why we don't forgive is because forgiveness equates wholeness, and then wholeness also removes the excuse.
That's it.
We don't forgive because we want to stay in bondage, because we want to have something to talk about. We want to have somebody to be mad at. We want to have somebody to blame.
Yeah.
We say we want to be whole, but we really don't.
Right.
Yeah. So what happens when we cancel everybody? We start canceling celebrities. We start canceling people that we get into debates with on social media and family members or even friends or whatever. If we start canceling everybody, then where will the forgiveness be at? I mean, it's slow to forgive, but
I gotta say this. A couple of days ago, as the Coming to America was coming out, and someone had an opinion thinking that person shared something from another post, and she put her opinion about it, and then someone put their opinion about it, saying that she's rewriting the person that's controversing what the person reposted is saying something that she didn't say. She just putting it out there about why trip about having a sequel 33 years later. And there was a lot of controversy about that. And there was about to be like going at it, like if they're about to have a fist fight and whatnot, but they were using verbiage. And I'm like, and I chimed in and whatnot, because you said a lot of stuff was right, enjoy the show and whatnot. But she thinks the person who reposted it, she said to her that that she was wrong saying words that she didn't even say about it's a waste of time. Why overdo this and do that? Why wait so long to do it? And I'm going back to what you're saying, Sean. When do we learn how to forgive? And I'm like, first of all, like we said about an hour ago, we do have speech, and we need to know what is acceptable. like what Kevin Hart did, and he apologized, but it's not the way the masses wanted him to apologize. So when do we forgive? It's all individual. It all depends because of how you're brought up and how you think and everything. So it's a trip. You can't put it on a whole set of folks. It's going to work individually on how they forgive, on how something was said or done. That's just my opinion.
Yeah,
I think you have to practice forgiveness. You have to practice it every day of your life. And when I say practice forgiveness, because I know I have had seasons in my life where I've had to walk out forgiveness with my family members, you know, people that I'm close to, things they may have said and done to me that really hurt. But when I say practice forgiveness, not only do I say, okay, I forgive you for whatever you've done for me, even if you don't apologize to me, even if you don't come out and say, hey, Buffy, I'm sorry for what I've done to you, I automatically now ask God to help me to forgive them, whether I get a verbal apology or not. And so when I see them in the grocery store, if I see them out in the street, that I can still wave and say hello. I can still, if you walk up to me, I can still hug you. You know what I'm saying? I can practice it even if I don't really feel it. Does that make sense to you? I don't have to feel it in order to practice it. And so I think society has taught us is that don't forgive, you know, always beat people over the side of the head of what they did to you. It takes too much energy for that. And I think that we have to learn how to practice forgiveness, whether we get an apology or not when people have done us wrong. The Bible says in Matthew 6, he tells the disciples how to pray. And in that prayer, it says, forgive us our debts, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. So we ask God to forgive us as we forgive others. So we're saying, God, have mercy upon me as I give others mercy. So we have to realize what many of us pray on either a daily basis, seasonal, or whatever you call it. People use the Our Father prayer as this, you know, pattern prayer for themselves. But I don't think people really realize what they're praying when they pray that. And so what we all have to do is practice forgiveness. Forgiveness is not only for the person, but it's for you. It's for you to walk in your freedom. It's for you to be able to sleep good at night. It's for your conscience to be, you know, freed up so you can feel, you know, that you can move on in life. You can't move on in life with a whole bunch of grudges on your back. That's a weight. The Bible says, lay aside every weight. Holding grudges is a weight. And sin that so easily beset us. Holding a grudge can be a weight. Holding malice in your heart can be a weight. You'll end up treating people that didn't even do anything wrong to you because of what somebody else did to you.
Yep.
It becomes a weight. And sometimes you don't even realize it. You can, how you interact with other people. You know, you can have just this weight on you and people be looking at you like, what's wrong with this person? You know, because they holding to something that their daddy did to them 30 years ago. They held it. I'm serious. This is real. This is some real stuff. People got daddy issues and they're trying to make other people pay for it 30 years later.
Yep.
Oh man, I feel you on that because I'm not gonna get into it me personally, but I feel you on that having basically is the phrase a 20 plus year hate. And that's the thing. And when you have a 20 plus year hate, the only thing is that the person that you hating on, that person's not feeling your hate. You're the one that's feeling it, and you're the one that's going to go through all the pain and suffering with it.
Yep.
Absolutely. And unforgiveness is a spiritual weight that can show, it can manifest physically. It can literally make you physically ill. I don't know if you've ever been to the doctor and you telling the doctor, I got headaches. I can't sleep at night. This is wrong. And they check me. Oh, your blood pressure's good. Ain't nothing wrong with your sugar. You know, this, that, and other. They tell them it's a spiritual problem. It's not a physical problem. It's just all those things you've been holding on to. When daddy told you wasn't going to be nothing, you was a good for nothing. You know, daddy won the round. And this, you carried that stuff all down through the years. Now, daddy could still be living across town with 20 plus kids. He might not be really thinking about you, God, but God's going to have to judge him. But you got to move on. You got to find that strength to move on with your life and say, God, help me to let it go. That's no longer my problem. That's daddy's problem. Daddy got to stand before you, but I got to move on, and I got to make a difference in my family, my children, my children's children. And so we got to move on. And this society has actually taught us not to forgive one another.
Yep. Yep. I just chime in right here and say these two things. Like, one of the things that I pride myself on, or try to at least, is like with forgiveness. You got to understand, like, if you have to ask yourself, hey, have I forgiven somebody for this? Or am I truly over this? Or whatever the case is. And that's why I love what Buffy said, like, it is a practice thing. And so how I gauge it, if you cannot be cordial, you're still captive. If you cannot be cordial, if I can't even speak to you, I'm still somewhere bound by something in the past. But then also at the same time, we have to be very careful. And this is why, like, you know, I had to do a lot of hard work with me and my father's relationship. And because I came to the place where I realized, and I preach this till I'm blue in the face, is that whatever you don't forgive, you have the capability to become.
Say that one more time. Say that one more time.
Whatever you don't forgive, you have the capability to become. Because you will find out that you will start practicing the traits of the very person that you are holding on to. Because what forgiveness is releasing of the individual. Right. Whenever you do not forgive, you put them in a jail, but you got to understand, you may put them in the jail of what they did to you, but you become the warden that guards that jail. So you didn't move either. And whoever you spend close time with, you know, like in relationship or friendship, whoever you are around, we all know them friends. You get around them, they start, like, you start saying their you start in picking up their mannerisms, start being like them. Like one of my closest friends, Chris Sands, he's the only one still to this day that's just like on Belly. When people say it one, he still says it. And when I hang up the phone from talking to Chris, I say one. He says one because I know he's gonna say it. I embody that because that's my best friend. I am around him. So whenever you don't forgive, you hold something dear in your heart, and then you start to become the very thing that you hate. Right. I started finding that certain mannerisms about me, I was doing like my father did. Wow. I was operating like my father did. Why? Because I was holding on. I couldn't even be my own man because I was holding on, and I was adapting, and I was transforming into the man that he was. Whenever you don't forgive, you'll find yourself becoming the very thing that you're mad at.
Wow. That's why I tell my kids, don't become what you despise.
I'm dead serious.
Ooh, man.
That was good.
That thing is
serious, let's pass the offering plate. Because that
was you had my cousin Buffy fanning over there.
I'm telling you, man.
We're in church.
The thing is powerful. Forgiveness is a powerful weapon. It is a powerful weapon that we could utilize to catapult ourselves, man. Like, and the more and more and more that we forgive, the faster we become everything that we need to become, man. Like, I honestly believe, like, you know, Sean, you was making a joke when I was like, you know, man, I'm doing pretty good. You was like, yeah, that's what millionaires say. But I had to realize, man, that a lot of my money was tied up in forgiveness.
Wow, come on.
My financial breakthroughs, my intellect, my mind, my wisdom, the stuff that I share with my mentees, the stuff that I share with people that are connected to me was tied up in my forgiveness. And the more I forgave, the more it freed up collateral space in my mind.
That's right.
You only can hold so much in your head. And the more we hold on to people that we're mad at, they take up residency. We got so many people that are living up here for free that ain't pay rent.
Come on now.
Wow. Wow.
New knowledge
Wow.
can't get in.
Yeah.
New wisdom can't get in. New insight can't get in. You can't make new friends. You can't connect with new people. Why? Because you got all of these people that you mad at holding up space, and then the people that need to come in to teach you so many new things, they can't. No, I'm straight.
Bro, I'm about to break out some organ for you.
I know. And I gotta go. I got a meeting to get to. But yeah, I'm telling you, man, like it's a thing that I think we all need to practice, and just because everybody else is still mad at somebody versus, via social media, whatever the case is, man, free that space in your brain and get on, and get on with life.
Offenses are always going to come. And that's the thing that we got to remember. They're always going to come at us. Somebody from somewhere, family, friend, foe, co-worker, it's always going to come. Offenses will come. The Bible says offenses will come. Woe to them that do the offending. And so we just got to, always keep that space, God, help me. I always ask God, help me. I tell him every day, help me. And sometimes, guys, I don't pass the test. Sometimes I see people and I'll be like, oh, shoot. And then I'll go like, God, forgive me. I missed that one, and God help me that next time if I see them again, help me to do that right. I'm not saying I'm perfect in it, but I'm saying that I know this well. I just was walking through something just recently that I really had to work on forgiving them. And I'm not saying you got to invite them to your house. You got to have them for a sleepover. I'm not saying you got to run with them, bring them to the picnic, to the barbecue. No, you don't. But I think you just got to let these people go in your life so that you can move on, and start having healthy relationships with your children, with your family, with your mother, your father. And if they're abusive in any way, I got a whole story of things that my father did to me or my mother or whatever. But you know what? I don't hold it against them because I found out that at that time, they were just in their own headspace. My mother was an abused woman. She was trying to survive. She made choices that she thought was the right choice. She didn't know that the choices that she made, how it affected us in the way that it did. She just said, Buffy, I thought I was doing the right thing at that time.
And Buffy, I'm so glad you said that because what we tend to do and why we can't forgive is that we judge ourselves based upon our intention and we judge everybody else based upon their action.
Come on.
There you go.
So we'll say,
there you go.
I didn't intend to do that. How you know they did? How you know they hurt you? They were doing the best that they could for the time that they were in. Man, I just did a video. Because I do YouTube content. I just did a video on my YouTube page where I was talking about how I had to forgive my father. My father died in a car wreck, and I was talking about how my father, I wanted him to be a father, but I was judging him based upon how I seen other fathers look and how I saw other fathers. It wasn't until I learned the history of my father that my grandmother was raped at 13, was going to abort the baby, but chose not to abort the baby. And then she chose to have my father. My father never knew his father. When my grandmother got married to my uncle's dad disowned my father because everybody looked at my father as the rape child. So he didn't know how to be a father. So therefore, here I am judging him that I wanted him to be something that I was looking at from other kids that he didn't even know how to be.
Come on.
He's in a role that he didn't know how to become. Now, at some point, yes, he had the opportunity to learn that, but also at the same time, I could have been very hard on a man that was trying to do his very best. And the problem is I'm giving myself concessions because I'm a man, and I ain't doing everything right, but I'm judging myself based upon my intentions. I ain't trying to hurt nobody. I hurt people. It is what it is. But we give ourselves a pass.
That's good.
We give ourselves a pass all day long.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No. Y'all, I gotta go. I'm so sorry.
No, this has been good.
I love it. I love it. If y'all ever want to do it again, we can run it back whenever y'all want to.
All right. Thank you so much, Adrian A.D. Davis, for joining with us right here on the Beat Break Morning Show, the Beat Break Podcast. I have a lot to say within a little bit of time, but I'm going to make it quick. But I know you got to go. You can catch the replay when it's released, but we really appreciate you, A.D.
Yes, sir, man. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for having me.
All
Thank
right.
y'all for having me, man. Listen, man, y'all can follow me on social media, Adrian Davis now on all platforms, on YouTube, Instagram, whatever. But man, thank y'all, man. Whenever y'all opportunity present itself, thank you, Sean. Thank you, DJ Rollem. Thank you, Buffy. Thank you for everything. Yes. I hope this added value to something. We were
absolutely.
But man, listen, I appreciate y'all for having me.
We can do it again. Yeah,
sure.
Absolutely. We'll bring you back on next time. All right, you take care.
For sure.
All right,
Adrian, have a good one.
A.D. Davis right here on the Beat Break Morning Show, giving such a great testimony live on the morning show. Not just only a great testimony, but an amazing assessment. And I mean, you can call it preaching if you want to, but it's really telling the truth. Honestly, it's telling the truth. But I wanted to say this within the few minutes that we have left right here on the Beat Break Morning Show, and I hope that Tori Lynn as well as AD go back and listen to it from the beginning or up until this point in replay mode once we have it on demand on beatbreakradiofm.com and on the Podcast FM app, as well as on thinkingoutloudnetwork.com. I want to say this because I want to be able to have a chance to share this testimony to where Buffy, my cousin Buffy, and AD brought it home, and they said something. It was almost like they read my mind. And this is why this is very important that we have this type of dialogue and this platform to talk about forgiveness in a cancel culture society. And my cousin Buffy know the story of what I'm currently going through right now. So I'm, for those that's been following with me, I've been on this mental health journey for quite some time. I'm currently seeking a therapist. Actually, I'm talking to a therapist right now. I've been going to my therapy sessions for the past couple of weeks. And one of the things that my therapist said to me in my therapy session is about forgiveness, the power of forgiveness. There has been so many people, and this is just me being transparent. There's been so many people that I either have canceled or wanted to cancel. And some of those people have either been my coworkers, my friends, even some of my family members, especially my dad. But he was saying that about the power of forgiveness is not to forgive those, is to forgive yourself. And why it was just so very important, holding all those grudges and holding on to things that they have either done to you or said to you in the past, it's very toxic from not only a mental standpoint, but also from a physical and health standpoint. When you hold all those grudges and you hold everything in, you start to become sick. You start to have headaches. You start to not be physically well. And I'm just so glad that having a platform like the one that we have is to where it just gives me a constant reminder that in a cancel culture society that we're in with forgiveness, you can easily get caught up in cancel culture society if you let it. When I go on social media, me and DJ Rollem, we go on social media almost every day actually, because we are in the media business. When we go on social media and we see all these debates and conversations about this person and that person and who gets canceled and stuff like that, it becomes toxic. And I don't get caught up in that because I got to look at my own personal life and look at what I have to clean up internally. And for this platform, as well as my therapy session, it just encourages me and motivates me more to be a better person to other people and to not let the past dictate my present nor my future and not hold on to it. You have to be free from all of that. And you have to be free from social media, not saying that you should cancel social media. I mean, you can do what you want to at the end of the day, but don't let social media or the culture that we're in now dictate who you should cancel and who you should not let be a part of your life.
Right.
You know, because and I think the other thing too is that we got to stop looking at celebrities as superheroes.
Thank you.
They're not.
You just got to look at them as human beings. Like I've been telling people, they're just human beings. At the end of the day, they put on their pants one leg at a time. It's just that you have celebrities that make more money than us. They just happen to have a bigger bank account than some of us or most of us. But at the end of the day, they still go to sleep like us. They still eat like us.
Absolutely.
And
they have PR. They have people that who create this image that they want the world to see. It's a created image. That's the thing. A friend of mine had a cousin recently that committed suicide a few weeks back. That died, and one of her things is that when she looked on social media, it seemed like everybody's life was perfect and hers wasn't. You know, she looked at social media as like everybody has 7 streams of income. I don't. Well, you could be getting $25 from each stream of income. You know what I mean? We don't know. People, social media is not reality all the time.
Right.
You know, we can't compare ourselves. What we all have to say, and this is something I'm practicing, guys. When I look in the mirror, Buffy, you are enough. I have to say that to myself. You are enough. What everybody else is doing doesn't concern you. You got to know that if nobody else tells you, you're enough. Sean, you're enough. DJ Rollem, you are enough. You got to keep saying that to yourself. You got to believe and know that you are enough. If nobody never tells you again, you got to say it for yourself. And you got to keep saying it till you believe it. And then, Sean, just like you and I both, we know we have family members, you know, they kind of cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. We got to love them right where they are. But we don't have to keep putting ourselves in the hot seat either. We have to keep putting ourselves in the pot to keep, you know, the fire turned up under us. We got to know when to stay out the fire, but we got to forgive them. We got to love them. We got to know where they are and keep it moving. And you can't let what other people do give you your identity. That's not going to work. We have to say, I am enough. I am enough. You are enough. Even with our mistakes, our flaws, our inadequacies, I'm enough.
Right. And we all are a work in progress. And I had to work on that too. I had to work on that too regarding forgiving other people. Back in the day, if you did me wrong, I'm Xing you out. You out of my life. You canceled.
John, I know who one person you're talking about.
You know what? But then again, to DJ Rollem's point, it's some things are just not unforgivable. And I would say I am willing to forgive at least 99% of the people that I know that have either said things to me that rubbed me the wrong way or they've done me wrong. And then the 1%, I'm just going to treat it as I didn't even know that person.
Okay.
Like, just to be fair, I can't say whether I forgive them or not. I'm just going to be like, I don't know that person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
You know them. You just gotta, some people, you just gotta keep your distance. You know, you don't want to keep, like I said, putting yourself in the frying pan. You know, sometimes we keep putting ourselves back in people's life to try to prove something. We don't have nothing to prove. Forgive them, love them, and keep your distance. If you know they're toxic and you know they haven't grown up yet, don't keep putting yourself in their space. Let them do them, and you go off and you grow, mature, and do you. If they want to hop back along and if they change and, then maybe you can let them in your space a little bit. But we got to forgive everybody. That's just the bottom line.
We got to forgive everybody. So we got to forgive Justin Timberlake. We got to forgive Kanye West. We got to forgive Kevin Hart. We got to forgive you. Hey. So what happened? So what have we learned? What have we learned on today's podcast episode? We learned about the power of forgiveness in a cancel culture society. I think it's also safe to say that cancel culture needs to be canceled at some point. Because if we don't cancel culture, and we keep letting cancel culture be where it is, and everybody gets canceled, then there will be so much grudges towards each other, and it'll be 50 times more worse than where we are at today, and there won't be no type of forgiveness. There'll just be a lot of holding grudges and things of that sort. So we learned about the power of forgiveness, and we learned that DJ Rollem is still going to play Kanye West music.
And R. Kelly.
And a little
and
R.
R. Kelly.
A little of R. Kelly.
Not a lot. Not a lot. Not a lot. But I don't think. But still.
I don't think he's gonna play any of that country singer songs in his mixes.
Morgan Wallen.
What's the country singer's name again?
Morgan Wallen. W-A-L-L.
Morgan Wallen. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you probably not going to catch none of Morgan Wallen's music in DJ Rollem's mixes.
Nope. Got that right.
So that's what we learned. We also, one thing we didn't mention in our cancel culture conversation is Eminem. Because he recently has been canceled by the Generation Sears for a song he did with Rihanna a few years ago that was pertaining to domestic violence. And a lot of people took it out of context for that record, which he was just raising awareness about domestic violence. But millennials and his fan base came to his defense. Eminem did a song going at the people that were trying to cancel him and what have you. So it's just a thing that I feel like is, I don't know if it's not going to go away anytime soon, or it may just be a fade. You know what I mean? It may just be something where it'll be here in the moment and then it won't last forever. It's kind of like a segment that, I don't know if you remember, DJ Rollem, but we did a segment on the Beat Break show back in, I want to say, was it 2011 when we were over at Love 860 AM? DJ 360, our fellow colleague and friend DJ 360. Oh, I think Buffy's waving us goodbye.
Yeah, I'm going to head out, guys.
Buffy got to go.
Right.
Okay,
Thank
Buffy.
you so much for having me on the program, cuz. I appreciate it. Nice to meet you, DJ Rollem. Let's do it again, okay?
All right,
cousin Buffy. Thank you so much for coming on the Beat Break Morning Show.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, cousin Buffy, Prophetess Buffy, right here on the Beat Break Morning Show. We're getting ready to close out, but let me just say one other thing too, regarding a segment that we did on the Beat Break radio show years ago. We did a segment called The Gas Face by DJ 360. And The Gas Face was a pre-cancel culture segment where we know that some celebrity or somebody who is of influence did something stupid or did something questionable.
I remember.
We called them out on it. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah. And then years after that, what happened? Charlamagne the God from the Breakfast Club with Donkey of the Day, which can be considered as cancel culture.
Right.
Donkey of the Day. So all I'm saying is that if we're going to keep having these type of cancel culture segments or moments and what have you, then where do we draw the line? How do we forgive? Are we going to be able to forgive at whatever somebody does something stupid? Nobody is not above stupidity.
Right.
Of course not. Nobody's not above stupidity.
I'm going to end it like this and whatnot. The thing about it is, I know what I said earlier, but with cancel culture, one thing was not said is that basically you follow the masses. So we have a large amount of folks agreeing to whatever is going on that is considered canceled and whatnot. That's what the majority is going to go with. So if the minimum folks like, now I don't agree with you and whatnot, your voice is not going to get heard. It may be, in the wind or something like that. So it all depends on who we accept back in, and that's still following the masses. Whatever the masses follow, this is all about what they have done, how long ago it was done. The pinpoint is the action that was taken, and go from there. The only thing depends on if it's a murder, is when we don't accept you back at all, because you're not gonna go to trial, and 90% of the time you take the plea deal, or you're gonna go to court and be in jail forever. How long? So when that murder comes in, but when you say or do things, that all depends on what was said and what did you do. So that's basically it. Then we follow what the masses say and go from there, and they will determine if you are canceled or you in play.
Right. Yeah. That's just the society that we are living in at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Right here on the Beat Break Morning Show, the Beat Break Podcast. Man, I'm glad we had this conversation.
Yeah, we did, man.
We did. I'm glad we had this conversation. Thanks to our guest, author and entrepreneur, Tori Lynn, also screenwriter Tori Lynn as well, just to add on to her resume. We really appreciate her for coming on the morning show, as well as AD himself. AD for coming on the Beat Break Morning Show, the Beat Break Podcast, and my cousin, my real cousin, not my play cousin. Now, I just have to emphasize that one more time. Cousin Buffy for weighing in on the conversation as it pertains to the art of forgiveness in a cancel culture society. We will be back on the airwaves in a couple of weeks from now. We're going to take a short hiatus, and then we'll be back on to give you some more fresh content like we always do right here on the Beat Break Morning Show, the Beat Break Podcast. Speaking of cancel culture, you got a cancel culture mix coming up, DJ Rollem?
Yeah, I do. It's going to have a couple folks that you definitely are aware of that we have spoken about, and some people that we did not touch about, but you'll be like, why is this person in? Yeah, you're going to be a little bit shocked, like, oh, okay. If you do a little research, but you might be grooving too much to it. That's my job.
I have a question. Is Vanilla Ice in the mix? Because I think a lot of people canceled him already. Pre-cancel culture.
I can't say, but you will enjoy.
He only made one hit now.
Yeah, I know.
He only made one hit.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah, that was it. Put him on the map, and now he's a big-time trainer now. That's all he's doing right now. So that's all I heard.
Oh, he's a trainer now, a fitness trainer?
Yeah, some kind of trainer. I don't know, forgot what city. He's just a trainer because he's in pretty good shape. So
he's in the gym. He's in the gym. He's working out.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, he said to Suge Knight, yeah, I'm going to show you in a few years.
I don't even want to go there.
We went there. We always go there. Please don't cancel me, ladies and gentlemen. Please don't cancel me for making that remark. Please don't cancel me. But hey, we got the DJ Rollem Cancel Culture Mix coming up for the caffeine and energy drink mix. Also, we got Mr. Moody's You May Be a Racist and You Don't Even Know It, as well as Mr. Moody's Moody Motivation. And a lot more coming up right here on the Beat Break Morning Show, the Beat Break Podcast. Make sure you follow me on all your social media, Facebook at Sean Garvey ATL, Twitter, and on Instagram. Where can people follow you, DJ Rollem?
Always follow me at DJ Rollem on Twitter and Instagram, and DJ Rollem Townsend on Facebook. So just like a guy hit me up not too long ago and said he want me to do something on a Monday. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want me to do any type of events for future notice, it's only Friday nights, Saturdays, and Sundays. Nothing doing Monday through Thursday.
Yep. So please don't interrupt him during his non-business hours on non-business days, Monday through
exactly.
Thursday. I mean, you taking care of other businesses though, Monday through Thursday.
Exactly. Just not doing Monday through Thursday. That's out.
That's what's up, man. What's up, man. And of course, outside of the morning show, I have the BB Mobile Apps podcast. We will be returning with brand new episodes of the BB Mobile Apps podcast. And Love and Poetry with Sharia Thomas. Thank you all for the great feedback that you've been giving us for the Love and Poetry podcast. We got all those shows on beatbreakradiofm.com on demand. We got reach1network.tv, and you can also check us out all the time on thinkingoutloudnetwork.com, man. Great show, great times, man. I'm looking forward to the next episode that we are going to do in the next week or so. Well, actually, the following week, because we're just going to take a short hiatus and then we will be back. No, we're not being canceled, ladies and gentlemen. We are just taking a short hiatus.
Right.
Yeah, nobody can cancel us.
Nope.
Nobody. And there's been several that did, but hey, we're still here.
Yep.
Yep. That's all I got to say, man. Hey, it's the Beat Break Morning Show, the Beat Break Podcast. Sean Garvey.
DJ Rollem.
Good morning.
Yep.
All right. Stand by.